Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I finished the commission today. Most of the work had to do with the background, which I tried to make pretty simple and modest to accentuate the ornate and luxurious make of the chair. I used a cool desaturated green to contrast the deep red of the central object. My client wanted the piece to have a back window, casting light on the chair from behind. The method I used to go about this was mostly just leaving the window area blank to give the impression of light pouring through, and I gave it a glare on the bookshelf nearby to reinforce that. I think it turned out pretty well, and the lighting from the window on the chair is at least accurate enough to not be distracting. One of my favorite books of all time is Penin by Vladimir Nabokov. It's hard to describe the novel's exact genre, something in between comedy and slice of life, but in a lot of ways it is a satirical take on both of those genres. I remember once seeing Nabokov's name on a list of postmodern writers, and I was surprised by this because the stereotypes I associated with postmodern art and literature definitely did not fit Nabokov. His stories are usually, at least initially, coherent. They are written with beautiful, clear prose, with recognizable aesthetic sensibilities. They feel often very resigned and restrained compared to the image I had in my head of chaotic, messy postmodern art. What I didn't consider, though, was the point of postmodern literature, which attempts to break the bounds of traditional literature and deny the idea of universal meaning or truth. Nabokov's work in specific denies an objective truth, or at least denies the reader access to the objective truth of the story. It's kind of funny, because in literature you can often have an objective truth. Plenty of books have a third-person omniscient perspective, where the reader is not invited to question the events as they are described, or at least isn't likely to gain much from doing so. The audience knows that the author's story is invented, and that the only complete authority on the events of the text comes from that author. This is a luxury that only really exists in fiction, and maybe mathematics too, I don't know. If I were to read a history book, I know that the events it is describing are not coming from the historian's mind, that I am consuming a subjective view of how things went, and that view can be questioned. The same might be true for a news article, a scientific paper, or anything else that describes our real world. It is for this reason that Nabokov's literature is interesting, because he writes his stories as if they are in that real world, described by characters who themselves are fallible, unreliable sources. Penin asks, what if your story was told by someone who didn't like you, or at the very least didn't understand you? What might someone who had never met you think? Have you ever had someone gossip about you behind your back? Have you ever formed an opinion of someone from their reputation alone before ever meeting them? It may be fiction told by an unreliable narrator, but the story is very real. Any story you are told about something in real life is somewhat fallible, irrevocably colored by its teller. I know I didn't really get into the plot of Penin, but it's a very light read and I think everyone should read it. More than summarizing, I intended to outline a bit of a mindset that you should go into the book with, in my opinion. Anyway, the painting turned out great. I'm really proud of it, and I hope my client and her audience like it too.